Today I want to talk about how to deal with someone who just won't stop talking. Let me tell you a story. I was at a networking event a few weeks ago. You know, the kind where you nibble on those hors d'oeuvres and you pretend to know the difference between strategic alignment and synergistic scalability. Entering Greg. Greg was super enthusiastic. In fact, Greg had a lot to say. A lot to say about his company, his ex-boss, his fantasy football league, and somehow his dog's gluten-free diet. Yep, included the dog too. And 27 minutes later, yes, I checked my watch, I realized I hadn't said anything more than aha. Sound familiar? Whether it's a coworker in the break room, a relative at a Sunday brunch, or a friend who just gets so self-absorbed, we've all met the human microphone. Someone who just won't stop talking. So let's break it down here. And yes, we've got science and statistics to help. So the science of the overtalkers don't lie. According to a 2022 survey by Preply, 53% of people say they regularly get stuck in conversations that drag on and on and on way too long. And get this, nearly 1 in 4 people admit that they don't know how to exit those conversations without being rude. I was one of them. So psychologist and author Dr. Susan Cross Whitburn says that chronic overtalkers, they often fall into one of these 3 camps. First one is the self-focused riddler. They think out loud and they don't realize that they're monologuing. Number 2 is the anxious rambler. They fear awkward silences, so they try to fill the void. And the third one is the attention seeker. They thrive on the spotlight and validation. Hello, Greg. Loves that pat on the back. So how do you handle it without losing your mind or your voice? Not literally, because you're not even allowed to talk, right? So how do you steer the ship back to you without sounding like a jerk or fleeing the room? Here's your toolkit. First tip is use the pivot and pause technique. So interject with a quick, that's interesting, and then shift to something like, that's interesting. You just reminded me of something I've been working on. This can give you a conversational off-ramp if they take the bait, right? A second tip is set boundaries with body language. So according to Harvard School of Communication, nonverbal cues amount for 93% of communication. So maybe start packing up your things or glancing at the time or turning your body slightly away. These subtle cues say, I gotta bounce without saying it. A third tip is introduce a third party. So something like, oh, have you met Rachel? She works in AI marketing too. This move is called triangulation. So you introduce someone else to naturally shift the dynamic and give you an exit strategy. I thought that one was quite clever. I had not tried that before. A fourth tip is call it what it is, and maybe gently. If it's a close friend or colleague, honesty works wonders. So say something like, hey, I love hearing your stories, but I don't have much time right now. And I want to make sure we are on track for maybe Monday's meeting, an event tonight, another topic, whatever could be going on in your life. But just call it out. Yeah, it's pretty bold, but your piece is worth it. And I have used that quite a bit. I've just been very honest of like, hey, you're important to me. I don't have time to get into your story, but I really want to hear about it. Can we, catch up at another time? And that's my exit out. So some final thoughts here is have some compassion, but set it with some boundaries. Most over talkers, they're not trying to be annoying. They're not. They might be nervous, they might be lonely, or they're just really excited about gluten-free dog food. Don't know. But the goal isn't to shut them down. It's to create a balanced space for mutual connection. Conversation is a dance, not a TED Talk, unless you're actually at TED. So next time you meet someone like Greg, smile, breathe, pivot with grace, and remember, it's okay to protect your time and your voice. So what have you tried in the past? Do you have any tips for working with someone that just talks all the time, or being in a crowd, or being in a conversation where you have someone that's just talking your ear off and you really either want to be able to share or you want to escape the situation? Put it in the comments. If you found this content helpful and valuable, please consider sharing, please consider subscribing, and we'll see you all in the next video.